Welcome to A Plumber's Views on Life, Work, and Balance. My name is Rudy Uribe Jr., and I'm the Director of Talent Acquisition and Self-Help Trainer for Rooter Hero Plumbing. All of my podcasts are less than 5 minutes in length and hopefully bring home a point that can help you improve your life. I'm a big believer in karma. What goes around comes around, the good and the bad, so let's avoid the bad and start shooting for the good. Today's podcast, Finding Some Alone Time. I have an 8-inch Celestron telescope at home that I don't use very often. It's big and heavy and not easy to move around, so it basically just sits in the corner as a decorative piece. Over the weekend, I went to the hardware store and I bought some piano wheels. These are wheels that you can place under the legs of a piano or telescope and move it around with ease. I gotta tell you, I was pretty proud of myself for coming up with that idea, but I digress. So, Sunday night, I rolled my telescope into the backyard to take a look at the moon. It's really hard to look at a full moon through a telescope because without a moon filter, it can almost blind you, but a crescent moon? Now that is spectacular. The craters are rimmed in shadows that give them depth, and the terminator, where the light meets the shadow, is otherworldly. So there I sat, looking at the moon, and I got lost in the moment. I felt as if I was the only person on Earth, and the moon was sharing some of its secrets with me. I felt like I was in a spacecraft on approach. I can get pretty close with some of my lenses. Looking through my Celestron was calming, spiritual, and meditative. I poured myself a glass of wine and looked at the sky. I live in Los Angeles, so we don't get to see too many stars, but I was grateful for the ones I could see. A few sips of wine later, and I spotted a satellite arcing across the sky at an amazing speed, close to 17,000 miles an hour. That meant it would come around again in about 90 minutes, and that made me marvel at the things that we have accomplished as a human race. That got me to thinking about Saturn and the Cassini spacecraft, which on September 15th of this year crashed into the planet, sending back valuable information to the very end. So I turned my telescope to Saturn, and I gotta tell you, every time I see that planet, I am awestruck. It's tiny in my scope, and you can't see any of the colors that you see in a photograph, but you can clearly see the rings. And on this Sunday night, I could see Titan, its biggest moon. It took me a second, but I realized I was looking back in time. My telescope was a time machine. The live image I was seeing wasn't really live. That image of Saturn was almost 80 minutes old. That's what Saturn looked like 80 minutes ago. The planet could have been destroyed and I wouldn't know it for another 80 minutes because I was looking back in time. Look, I don't mean to give you an astronomy lesson here. What I am trying to tell you is that on this particular Sunday, I managed to find some alone time. Just me and the universe, and all these weird thoughts of space and time made me feel at ease. I know what you're thinking. The wine didn't hurt either. Agreed. But for that hour or so, I didn't think about work, or health issues, or financial problems, or much of anything at all. It was a deeply satisfying experience. You don't need a telescope to help you escape. That's my thing. Music can take you to faraway places. Meditation, yoga, exercise, running, whatever clears your mind of stress and worries is something you need to revisit from time to time. It's important for our health, both mental and physical, that we find something that will cleanse us of the stress that follows us around. This podcast is about finding balance and peace of mind. Family time is great, don't get me wrong, but don't forget the alone time. It's good for your health. I'm Rudy Uribe Jr.